Okay.
Yeah, they just go. Just type in Walhalla, South Carolina.
Yeah,
and places to
okay.
stay and-
I'll let them know.
Is this yours? I
Yeah, look at it. It's the top.
It might be a spare.
Top one right there.
That's right. You gave me that.
Oh, okay.
How many does it sleep?
Scott? I have it on there for 10. Cause you can put, I've
With
got
three
3 bedroom and there's 2 beds in one of the
I
bedrooms.
tried to answer your
And
phone
then there's
call.
a pull-out couch. And then there is also another chair that actually lays off.
I've been following those.
So if you want to get all of those, we probably. put one
You
in
just
that.
pile them in.
So what we're seeing is we're seeing families with their kids.
Yeah.
So 2 families, each get their own master bedroom. And then the kids crash.
Yeah, perfect. That's awesome, because there aren't very many places that accommodate.
Yeah,
for
that
the
we made it the way that.
That's what we're seeing. is-
Leave the property.
How are you? Good, how are you? Good.
Very quiet.
I'll share this with you.
So just look at through that. And then you do instant.
Okay.
So they can book it as long as they've got everything set.
Hey, if you understand from.
I'm gonna be back there if y'all want to sit together.
Oh, that's fine. No, that's fine. I just wondered if something else was going on.
Oh, no worries. I don't know. You might want to move the chair, maybe as soon as you're sitting, so his head's not.
Okay.
Probably puts that TV
It'll
back
take
against the
some.
wall.
Easier.
That's boring.
Ain't gonna fix it either way. Yeah, let's get you.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. We did quite a good job on that. I think not, you can, but it won't be a problem. It's gotta be a big one, those small ones.
Basically, if they don't, I was just gonna get him.
Oh, yeah.
They're still working on that. I had no.
Okay. What is happening?
A lot of it's just cosmetics. They're outside, pillars and stuff. They were trying to rush these two.
Oh, yeah. Is there like a large room there?
That whole front of the house.
Okay, so like.
Go under. Go under. Sure. Okay. Well, here, come back. Careful. Come back.
Oh, I'm not speaking,
Oh, yeah.
Why'd you give up my spot?
got fiberglass in my basket. Get like that. Like, what is that? When are they? Do they have that?
Daughter.
Yeah.
Help us out on a legal.
Right. Don't sue us.
Don't sue us, yeah. Yeah, for real. But I think they'll,
Yeah.
they're doing it. So if you go in the front door, in front of the houses. Yeah. I'm just trying to go. But I don't really- not really, I don't know. City, city controls.
Yeah.
Big dining room, smaller kitchens.
Okay. Like use it like a catering kitchen.
And then the whole upstairs. So the plan is just to do, rent out the whole Airbnb type stuff. If the wedding party wants to live.
Yeah.
Stay there.
That's really convenient. That's something we don't have in town either. You gotta kind of travel in your dress.
Stay the weekend, have your wedding. That's the thing. I told him. I guess I just.
Okay. It is 5:30 and I know everybody that's here will want to get started where we might can finish and go home at a decent hour. So I'm going to call the, excuse me, let me start over. The May the 4th, 2021 Walhalla City Council Committee meeting to order. And I apologize, but if I don't pull this mask down when I'm trying to read, my glasses fog up. I know some of y'all probably can understand that. So, thank all of you for coming. And this is an informal meeting, as most of you know. So we're going to keep it that way, but we'll try to move right through our agenda. The first thing we've got is really nice. I think y'all are going to all be surprised. Mr. Garrett Holcomb from Boy Scout Troop 45 has a presentation that he's going to make on the work that he has done on the bathrooms at Sertoma Field. And I know John's back here. I'm sure he really appreciates the work he's put into this. So if you will, we'll turn it over to the Holcombs now. He's got his dad here helping him and his mom as well. So.
All right, how y'all doing this evening?
Great.
Thank y'all for letting me come over here. Can y'all hear me all right, or do I need to be louder?
You good?
Sertoma Field is a really beautiful place to go to. Great place for baseball games. And I was at one of my sister's softball games about the time I needed to start an Eagle project, and I noticed that the bathrooms had been flooded over there, and they needed to be repaired. So I thought that would be a good Eagle project to do. And we went in, and it was dirty. There was a lot of trash that needed to be picked up. And we started with pressure washing. There was about a quarter inch of mud that had been dried on there. And we took a pressure washer and got that cleaned up. And I made a new friend when we were doing some of the cleaning up and doing that. And the first step was pressure washing the inside of the bathroom, and that there was probably about 3 days of work in there. And then about an 1/8 inch of dry mud in there. And there's just a picture of me pressure washing the inside of the bathroom and getting it clean. And then there's another picture of pressure washing on on the other side of the bathroom. It's that bathroom, that mud right there got dried on from when it flooded, and I'm cleaning that up, with pressure washer and that. The next step was to demolish the old stalls, and that day took about 4 hours to do. The stalls were old. Around the bottom here, the wood is starting to rot, especially right there in this corner. The next step would be demolishing the old stalls, and there's a picture of me and the helper that I have. We're just demolishing the old stalls, and that part of the work took about 4 hours.
We had 7 helpers from 345 came that day. It was a great turnout. They all worked very hard.
That's great.
Yeah.
And some of these kids were as young as 12, but they worked really hard.
So they did. I think we had to home and take them to take a break and get lunch that day.
They love tearing things down.
The next step was the new paint in the bathrooms, and I thank you to Itron, they donated paint and we used on the wall. And I put fresh paint on the ceiling, the floor, and the walls. The old paint here is green like the old stalls, and I'll replace it to be purple like the Walhalla. I put new paint on the walls, the ceiling, and the floor. In this picture here, I'm rolling new paint on the wall. That paint was donated by Itron. I really appreciate that. And there's another picture of rolling paint. And there's the new paint after I finished. I painted the floor here, the wall, and the ceiling. That part of the next step was to transport the new stalls. They were donated by the ASI company in East Nolly, Georgia. We had to go. We went. My friend Billy and one of the Knicks picked them up. I really appreciate that. They helped me out a lot. They went over there and they went and picked them up, and here they are, loaded onto the trailer. And there's a trailer and a truck getting over there. That truck is from Edwards Ford. And we had an estimate for the new stalls was $1,600, but ASI donated them. I really appreciate that. That was a big help.
And that's not even in their community. They were willing to make a donation.
That's almost in Tacoma. That's a out of state donation that they gave. That was a very big help. The next step would be to assemble the new stalls. I found some friends that were expert, really good carpenters, and they volunteered. And we made some mistakes measuring, but my uncle in the machine shop, he made these standoffs here on the wall so that the stall dividers would fit right.
The mistake made those stall divider walls 3 inches short. So by making that 3 inch up by aluminum that you machine in the machine shop at Itron, that was able to make that 3 inches up and made it look very good.
I would have never noticed that it wasn't supposed to be that way if you hadn't told me, because it looked like it was part of the package.
Oh, great. It served another purpose too, because the just out of this picture is the pipe that we would have had to cut out for it. So that kept us from having to do that. Few things you learn. Tell them one more thing a little bit. If you have a 1/4 inch screw going into concrete, what do you not do?
You don't want to get the same size. You want to get.
Don't use a 1/4 inch bit on a 1/4 inch screw. Garrett learned that as well.
One that concrete is a lot different. And that picture right there is after I got done in the inside the bathrooms. That's on the women's side.
It's the same back.
And I have a,
This is the same.
before I
bathroom
started, this is
before.
a picture of the same bathroom. That was. About a year,
So 10 months.
after about 10 months, we have a, brand new bathroom in there almost. Then the last step was the cleaning. We had volunteers to clean and disinfect toilets and sinks. And after about 3 hours, the toilets and the sinks in there are ready to use. Now, the last thing in there is gonna need hardware inside, like the dispensers for toilet paper and paper towels. And the doors outside may need replacing. Did some,
You stay with me with the office trying to get some pricing on the paper dispensers.
I'm looking into the toilet paper and paper towel dispensers from Holcomb's Office Supply and see. There's a. Is there any questions that y'all want to ask me?
Great job.
Great job.
It's fantastic.
I appreciate that.
If you get a chance, you guys, if you're over there, you want to take a look at it. I'm sure it's still probably locked right now till they get through with it, but catch them over there, can take a look, but it's super job. I just cannot
We
believe it.
really appreciate you choosing that part of the city to put in your project for your Eagle Banner.
Thank you, sir. I
That's
appreciate it.
a huge honor to have that done for us.
We'd be glad to meet anyone who'd like to see them. We'd be glad to meet them.
We can,
You can be there.
I can go out there and meet you.
I like to see it. There, my daughter plays 5-year-old t-ball.
Okay.
She's not playing axes, can't do axes.
I look good to you because, I'm sorry,
So you're fine.
I look good to you because a lot of people wouldn't want to actually take something like that on, because you look at the pictures and you look at the way it looked and the condition of it. So when the pandemic and all that was going on at the time, a lot of people would have not chose that. I appreciate that.
I must be honest, when we opened them up, I had serious misgivings. Matter of fact, I tried to talk the scout leader into discouraging him from doing that. Garrett said he was already committed, and the scout leader said, sink or swim, this is his project. So, but he was never discouraged. He always had ideas.
That's a blessing for the city, though. That's a blessing.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate that. Thank you for letting me come out here and show it to you.
Absolutely. So many times we hear about our young folks and wonder what's gonna happen and as the world gets turned to the next generation. I think we got a lot of good folks coming up that are gonna be able to take care of things. So I think everything's gonna be fine. John, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I can get the paper towel dispensers and the toilet dispenser. So we'll take care of that. And you just want me to get them to you, or do you want, how do y'all want to do that?
Yes, sir. I can install them.
Great, thank you.
I'll give you a call when they come in.
John, if
Thank
you
I
will,
appreciate it.
when we were over there last week, we were looking, trying to figure out on those doors. Why don't you get with them and see what you recommend, if we paint them or do we replace them? If so, what we need to replace them with, you guys talk about that.
You know,
That's all right, yeah.
Okay. Thank you again. Appreciate it.
Thanks for letting me come, Mr. Mayor.
All right, our next item on the agenda is committee reports, but before I go into that, we do have a few folks here. Is there any other public input? Anyone have anything they want to mention before we get into committee reports? Hearing none, we will move forward with the reports then. And the first one is Parks and Recreation. So, Mr. Galbraith, if you want to come give us your report.
Not too much right now. For rec, we have baseball, softball, regular season games that currently being played. Scheduled events at the gym. Yesterday was the COVID vaccinations. May 20th will be the blood drive at the city gym. Have the Memorial Day weekend concert on Memorial Field. June 3rd will be the COVID vaccinations. Second time at the city gym. Everything should be ready. All the tables and chairs are available. All the members will have it set up. Sent an email to the lady from the blood drive. Phone. Anything else.
With a good turnout, or you know, for the
I think the later time slots were more. Got forward.
on the road by.
They were scheduled to close around 8 o'clock last night. I think that's the latest one around here. So
I was there about 6 and it had a good crowd. Thing is, all right, John. You talked about the lights.
I did get a price for the lights for next year for the backfield. Looking at getting some of the county money to take care of just the materials for the lights on the backfield. Will be right around $17,000. That's replacing all the halogen type stuff with LEDs and you Nobody wants to fool with anything to do with halogen lights anymore. The benefit though is if we change those lights over, that has a separate meter, so we can kind of get an idea. Save you 70%. It kind of pays for itself. Most of the lights are guaranteed 5 years. All PBS lighting week before ball games, just on the backfield itself. Here in 1 month of practice, so 6 weeks of practice. We have 3 lights in our house. So I haven't got the bill on that yet, so several $100.
I was down there watching the T-ball game, and I had a parent. I heard her talking that they wasn't keeping very good control of their child, but it was a little one, and took off towards the creek back there. Is there any way to put up, not a chain link fence or anything like that, but like a split rail or something? You know what I'm talking about? Right as they come out that gate on first base side, and there's nothing there much to stop. I just thought it might be something that we could. Right there close to that bridge, is that? On down towards backstop on the T-ball field, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of openings, but that one is just pretty wide open.
Used to be a split rail fence.
Yeah.
All the way to that corner where the sign used to be.
Somebody wants to get over it, they're gonna get over it, but it might deter a little and it's not slowing down a little bit, yeah.
Not with
Some
some
of
of
them
those.
still there, also we need to replace it.
Okay.
I have a question, on that May 20th blood drive at the city gym, do you have, a flyer to advertise that on the Facebook, social media?
Yeah, I do. I held off. I didn't want to choke everything since we have the COVID vaccination clinic, but yeah, the blood collection is giving us a lot.
Because from my understanding, it's from the American Red Cross, right? Miss, Colby,
I think so. There's a handful of people that I.
and this would probably alleviate some of that, because she provided that to me electronically today, and I can forward it to you,
Okay.
and the flyer's already set up. Usually they want 2 weeks before the blood drive, so we can promote it, to get a high, foot traffic. So if I can forward that to you, then be able to promote it on social media. On your recreation, okay. I'll do that, I'll forward it to you. and
Yes.
CC you on
Yeah,
it as well.
that was from the Red Cross. Yes,
Okay.
Kristen Boyle.
We will send it to all of us.
Yes. Yes, I'll do that.
Yeah, I just hadn't wanted to choke social media just yet.
Yeah, that's true, so. What do you think is appropriate? Blood connection has said 2 weeks in advance, but they could easily be a week.
I think I may have shared it before. Yeah, we'll get it communicated back out. So.
Okay. Is there anything special going on May 22nd, by any chance? Mr. Robin? Like celebration, it's on Saturday. No, okay, just in general, so like recreation, and
We have some of the high school teams. We need to get down a lot for these days.
What about Super Saturday?
We're not doing one this year.
Okay.
Because we're playing with students. We normally have enough teams to do it. But this year we got 112 and under team. Only age group we have enough for is the 8 under. All kind of the same things. Or teaching for it.
All right, thank you, John. Thank you, sir. Next committee is.
Listen, we got something in mind.
Sure.
so in lieu with, I think everybody got an email about May, trying to get coordination about, National Safety Month for May. National Safety, water safety.
Water safety.
Water
Oh,
safety
okay.
for the month of
Yes.
May. So that's why I was asking about May 22nd, but I was just gonna add on, and you can elaborate more, but we wanted to, in support what David wanted to do is, I reached out to the YMCA because I wanted strengthening the partnership that we have with them, with our asset that we have in our community with the Walhalla City Pool. So I have a meeting set up this Friday to speak with the director, and I think Mr. Underwood showed interest to be there just to talk and see how we can go in the future to strengthen that partnership. And they're gonna be doing events as it is for water safety and free swimming lessons, so they're gonna be doing that when the swimming pool opens. But on top of that, we wanted to acknowledge one of the pioneers behind that, and I think I mentioned this to everyone through email or text about Mr. William Hall, and you can chime in here.
Separately with the city, this is city, just about the city by itself recognizing Mr. McCall. We wouldn't be, without Russ and Wayne, we wouldn't, and it's all of us, we wouldn't have what we got now. And it's just as time went on, it's got bigger and better with everybody's work. But Wayne was very instrumental also. So I would like to honor him at the next city council meeting.
We'll put him on the agenda.
Good.
And we will share the document too, and I did contact Mr. Ashton Hester, who has probably facts from the articles from the Kiwi Courier, and he said he's gonna let you know. Did any of you know estimated what year Mr. William McCall was advocating on that behalf? Was it 2012?
2012.
Was it?
2012.
That sounds right.
So he's gonna try to get us some facts and stats, and we can incorporate that in the resolution if you want to.
Okay. Okay. We're ready. We'll go to our Public Works Committee. Mr. Russ Price, I believe that committee is chaired by Councilman Roberts.
All right, mainly just our regular work went on this month. The numbers on the crash might be off just a little bit because we had to take, last week, we had to take everything delivery. But, if I've got it figured out, we had 172 tons of residential, 162 tons of commercial, 81 tons of recyclable brush, 3 tons of C&D waste, and 1 ton of mattress. We took out 33 go karts, picked up 6.
Questions?
I have one, I'm on the committee, but on the cards, the life expectancy on those, I know that they get beat around, not by just picking them up and all, but they, how often you get them back if they're broken, can you fix them or?
Some we can, but most of the ones we're having replaced now are like 22 years old.
Okay,
We've got a lot of life out of it.
yeah,
So we're picking up a lot of new customers on the outside for whatever reason. I think we use a lot more than we have to.
did you get a solution with that on billing for the brush?
We're working on that.
Oh, committee made a question. The ordinance that we passed last month about the cleaning.
It's an act that we just need some building. I'm sorry, that was the overage on the rush. It's enacted, so we're working, Elijah's working with one of the occupants now. We've got another one that we found that we're just trying to exhaust all our efforts before we swoop in and do it. So we do also have to figure out how to do it.
Picked up some.
Oh, yeah. And if somebody says we're behind, that one time too, almost 2 days. Yeah. We found with the billing system, if we just go in and punch and Scott making the library a little bit better. But if we just go and punch in a charge, it duplicates that month after month. So we've got to there's some programming on the backside to only be able to do one-time charges. Is that basically right?
That's right. In fact, we talked with our rep today, and there's a module that can be added. We don't have it on the system now, but we can generate invoices, one-time invoices for that, which I think would be ideal for this. There is a charge for that, and he is working with the proposal to send that to us. There's a monthly charge that goes with that module. But as soon as we get that back, I'll bring it to you. I'll present that. But Russ could use that, we could use that, because we've had a ton of requests for people to relocate water meters. And we charge for the time and materials to do that. We've had some other things come up with us as also, but I think we would have enough use for it lately. Plus on our bulk water sales, it would simplify billing with that too. So
instead of everything getting dumped into miscellaneous, this would be able for us to track everything that we bill out.
yeah, it would make a much smoother or much easier to follow paper trail.
I thought you had to leave about a phone call.
I just wanted to make a comment in public. We recognize Mr. Price's department for helping us during the outreach for the COVID-19 vaccine. Their team, and if I'm correct, James, Evan, and Michael brought us the tents and tables outside to business stores in Walhalla. So we appreciate their efforts. Justin, okay. Yeah, they were talking with their minds. But I just wanted to public acknowledge that and thank them for that. It was after hours, or after 3:30, I think, and there was a miscommunication on my end, but we were able to fix it right away. So thank you.
Anything else, committee? Appreciate it. Okay. Thank you, sir. Our next committee is police, Chief Brinson. This committee is chaired by Councilman Underwood, Councilman Woodward, and Councilman Owens are also part of that committee.
Before you started, I'd like to say something right quick. This year law enforcement has been brought to the forefront of attention. Not only is it becoming harder to keep officers, it's becoming harder to recruit officers. It used to be when an officer left for work, he was putting his life on the line. Nowadays, he's putting his livelihood on the line also. So at this time, or sometime while we talk about the budget, I think it's important that we listen to what Chief Brinson has to say. I've asked him to take his time on it, no time pressure, and I'd like for him to tell us what do you see in the future of Walhalla PD. So, thank you.
Well, I'll do my report and then I'll kind of talk about that. So what I see coming up in our future. For what we in our past, just now in the past month in April, I was able to work out where we got one of our officers to go and get certified on his AR-15 and 16 armor. What that does is it gives us someone that can maintain our rifles and make sure that they're kept up and our lifeline, the life expectancy of those goes up to the property. I attended Police Chief Association training, talked about budgeting for police departments, grants that are available, and also the effects that we're seeing on law enforcement due to COVID-19. Captain Rice was sent to a narcotics supervisor training, which was free training, except for the travel to get them there. So that was he said it was very formative training that we're going to be able to use. We participated in the criminal garden that was to bring awareness to child abuse in the month of April. We didn't have any officers that we were able to have available for the Earth Day or Cherokee gathering. We just put that onto the regular shift to make sure that they were available and they knew about that event that was going on. The Learning Center, which is at the church just past Super Service, they request our officers to come down and talk with the kids and hang out with them and show them all, show the patrol cars and everything. So we sent officers down there and they had a good time giving out stickers and hanging out with kids and everything. So those are always fun. Always enjoyed doing that. Total calls for service 770. Traffic stops 299. We had 9 traffic collisions. Total reports filed 51 reports. Citations and warnings issued 314. Arrests made were 21 adults and 1 juvenile referral. Extra patrols is 129. That's both businesses and residential. Overtime hours that we accrued this past month, 128 hours, and total training hours, and that was for the training that I talked about, was 80 hours. Any questions on that?
I just had one of the drug cases still high.
Yes. Yeah, we've seen a huge increase over the past couple of weeks in drug arrests. Our officers are catching more than just regular user. So we have some substantial weight that we're dealing with the dealers and everything. So that's kind of an extra burden on us for sure.
What, people coming in, or it's just y'all doing a better job of, I mean, y'all
Well, so what we saw was there was a drug task force that came into the area on a specific case, and they pretty much shut down that organization. Their business was closed. And that was not within the city limits, but it was very close. So we saw a lot of traffic from that. That got shut down, and so someone else had, the void was there, so someone now has started that business. And so we're actively working to deal with that now. So very similar to an anthill, but not one of those things. Officers are doing a good job of catching the user side of it, lower end dealers. We're working to getting narcotics investigator to handle the cases so we can try to keep it from over the streets.
Can you tell us more about the events that you mentioned last month?
Yeah, so we are going to, so is it 16 or 17.
It can't be the 17th, right? Don't we have a meeting?
So it's May 19th at 6:30 at the Performing Arts Center. We are going to do a community event similar to what we did back in 2019. The goal with this one isn't necessarily just to talk about this police department, but I wanted to try to address some issues that I've noticed that we're hoping to kind of educate so then we prevent people from becoming victims in the first place, because these type of crimes are very difficult for us to prosecute. One being child abuse, and not necessarily child abuse, but we were leads to it, but the risks that come from that with internet, social media, a lot of our teenagers on platforms, and also the scams that are getting a lot of our senior citizen population to those phone calls and talking about the risks that come with that and what's real and what's not. So we've got a presentation. We will start marketing for that this coming week. So we start 6:30.
It's free.
It's free. Yeah, anyone doesn't have to. Anyone that
You don't have to pre-register.
don't register, just come. Don't have to live in Walhalla, don't have to do. Bring your friends. To answer Councilman Underwood's question that he had up front, what I see and how law enforcement is going in the future. This is with recent events and the climate that we're seeing. Law enforcement being a lot of our activities and everything, and law enforcement officers that represent the badge negatively. It's obviously put a lot of strain and stress on law enforcement in general. We have an outstanding group of men and women that work for our police department. They do a great job. I'm very proud to work with them and everything. We have to make sure that we continue to support them and make sure they have the tools and the skill set to be successful. And they're successful, and our community becomes even safer than it already is. And so I see a lot of struggles for law enforcement coming up in the future. The scrutiny and everything that comes on our officers for doing a lot of their jobs. If there is something that is done not exactly to how most people think it needs to be done, they're scrutinized, and then that will deter further people getting into the profession. That's what we need. Quality people coming in. So if we see a high amount of people leaving, in fact, there's more people leaving the profession than there are. So this department, what we're doing, a lot of what we're doing in the hiring process, we put 50 to 60 hours worth of staff, man hours into finding the right person, making sure there are interviews, background investigations, making sure it's thorough, so we don't. So our onboarding of officers is put in place so they can be the right fit. Put them into a pretty intense training regimen that makes sure that they are well equipped for what they need to do to serve our community. once we're done with that, they get assigned to a shift. Or continue to train, like any of our other officers, so. That timeline is a concern because it takes time to get someone to a level that we would like them to be at. Our initial training, I usually say is a 6 to 8 month before we can get them through the academy and everything, but in all reality, it takes an officer, a new officer who's never been in law enforcement before, it takes them about 2 years to really figure out how to be efficient, how to be able to handle the call volume and everything, different types of calls. So 2 years is really where we start to see them being able to perform at the level that we would like them to perform at, and then grow from there. That's when they start to kind of specialize in certain areas. We find out what they're really good at, and they do that. So some of our officers are very good at traffic laws, so they focus more on that. Drug interdiction type officers that are very good at getting drug arrests that we've seen in that particular. And then there's others that do really good with investigation. So our point is we put a lot of effort into that first 2 years. So when we lose an officer after that 2 years, it puts a huge burden on the department and on the city to try to start that process back over. So, I see that as a concern to try to address in the future. Besides that, we've done great, I think, with upgrading our vehicles. We're at a place now where we have new equipment that definitely helps our officers stay safe and comfortable during the work. So, I think our professionalism with the department, the reputation that the department had compared to what we have now, I think the professionalism and the effectiveness of our department has definitely shown through our work. So.
How's the morale right now?
Morale is just seeing, you're looking at across the nation, they're seeing that, but I regularly tell people I would not want to work anywhere else than here in Walhalla. Morale is always a concern because it kind of goes up and down. So trying to support that, making sure that our officers their morale is good. Their service that flows out, so the service that they provide will also be good.
What used to do with the officer? I know she had some kind of program that she started.
And the foundation has an officer reporter program that we've gotten in place. An officer that has shown to do above and beyond and do more than they're recognized. The foundation gives them a check and then also recognizes them by we put a parking spot next to the captain's spot that has their name on it, and the quarter and everything. So
You also, I know something on the board back there in the back.
so I have what's called a Chiefs list. So whenever I notice an officer go above and beyond the call of duty, does something that is outstanding, more so than a normal course of work. Right now I'm putting checks on a dry erase board, but over time, whenever they get 4 checks, that is essentially a shift that I worked in their place, so they get the day off. So it's a way of me rewarding that type of outstanding work that I want to be flowing through the rest of the department.
To me, that's above and beyond because you're a salaried person, and that's a day off that you I
Definitely wasn't
appreciate
trying to cost any more than what we need to. So that was a way of doing that.
I appreciate that. I'm sure they do too.
What about that grant we spent out on last year from the table? Is it going back around this year?
Rolling back around. We've already wrote for it, submitted for it, and they're actually, that process seems a little different this time in a good way. So we're optimistic on that. That will give us, extra person. And, vehicle that comes with that.
Yeah,
That's desperately needed, especially now with
yeah,
with the
keep
uptick
us,
in our.
dated on that, so that's something.
But time with that would still be October whenever it would run around, but things are a little different now.
Speaking of grants and stuff, and speaking of car, could you explain the truck a little bit? I was listening when we first got the truck and.
The truck is a pursuit rated F-150. When we purchased that vehicle, we were looking at really what was out there. Due to COVID, a lot of the car manufacturers shut down, and law enforcement agencies across the nation started scooping up whatever was left. Chargers, Durangos, Tahoes, everything was just, there wasn't much out there. We found this pursuit rated F-150. We were able to bring that on because we had a couple of needs that I think that truck filled. We didn't have any four-wheel drive vehicles that were pursuit rated. That one's four-wheel drive, so now we can get up into areas of Stump House Tunnel and other areas of the city whenever we have inclement weather. And we've got a bed of a truck that we can transport large items. Sometimes people steal lawnmowers or and get that one out actually having to borrow different vehicles. So, and it also is pursuit rated, so it does couple as being able to work in patrol functions too. So it's kind of a multi-purpose vehicle. That makes a big difference. It definitely has already shown to be very useful to us since we don't have four-wheel drive Tahoes or Chargers or anything like that when we had the last snowstorm. We brought that out and the officers that were working patrolling that. So that our Tahoes or Chargers out of it.
I would just like to tell you about an episode that happened at my house a few weeks back. Two officers pulled over two guys in my driveway. One had actually done some work at our house 3 or 4 years ago and kind of used me as a reason, but it was nothing to do with us. But the female officer, I believe, was Jennifer. She called the next day to check on me to make sure everything was okay. And I just appreciate that very much that she reached out like that.
Pass that along. She's a great officer. She's actually our current officer of the court.
Going above and beyond.
Yeah. I don't remember the guys, the officer.
Tina.
So McCall, a lot of people know him.
They did a great job. Kind of scared me. My neighbor called and said, "You've got police in your yard and there's a black man yelling." So,
Hey, you had good officers there, so
yeah,
regardless of whatever issue, I'm sure they had it.
they handled it nicely.
Anything else? Or Chief? Thank you, sir. All right, let's go to our utilities department. Affairs. Utilities is chaired by Mrs. Owens, Councilman Pace, Roberts are also on the committee. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
I've just got some things there for you, the back pages I'll go over in a minute, but. Just to give you an idea of what we've gone through in the last month or so. And as an example of how things have picked up for us over the last year or so. This past month, we did 20 new water taps, 8 sewer taps. The 8 sewer taps is a pretty good number for us. So that's, we don't do a lot of those, especially in the city, that's something you really see kick up. The new water contract is basically new request for service. So we've got a lot of that coming in, either buying property, renting property. Emergency located, those are some that we just have popped up and we got a big right there, so that's typically after hours, but. Just throwing this in there, to give you some ideas of some of the things we've got going on. The new development service inquiries. Basically, that's if someone calls and they're looking to either build a couple houses or a business or something like that, and they're trying to look available on the platform. There's actually several of those this month. If you have any other ideas or things you'd like to know, let me know. If you have that on your phone. Just want to give you a snapshot. Mill Street, that line is complete, it's in the ground. We're just waiting on the weather to lift up to the tip. That's all that has to make it. Contact the engineer, made them aware that we've got it in the ground, we've got water in it. So once we're able to get out there and not sink, we're going to keep that line fixed. Hopefully get it online soon because we need executive soon. Cannon Creek Rehab. The foot line crew is in place, they're coming through right now. And then they have some equipment out here. We watched them do a section, work on section last week off the Walhalla Street. It's an interesting process. They basically pull in a piece of, it's basically like fiberglass. The resin is in the liner. They pull it through. They have to store it in a refrigerator truck to keep it cool. So once it's in place, they boil it up with air, and then they start blowing steam through it, and it cures it in place. It's a neat process. It's basically turned into a fiberglass. Any services along that line, they go through, they got to locate it, and they go back with it, they're like, it's a neat process.
How long is that fiberglass new line like that guaranteed stuff?
I think it's 40-year warranty, 40-year life expectancy on that. It's a good, seems to be a good product. It's about a half inch thick.
And it won't collect like that.
No,
I'm
no, what it does is actually makes a smooth surface for the joints. I mean, you can see the joints, but there are not any crevices or anything to collect. And it seals out any roots that may try to come through those pipes. This upper section, that had several sections of pipe that were cracked, several joints that were cracked, or failing, and this, I mean, it just takes care of all that. So it should make a big difference. And you can also notice the manholes, the crew comes in, different crew comes in, the Fridays and Saturdays, on the weather crew. And they've been raising those above the flood level. They still got several to do, they're maybe halfway done. From two crews work. They made a lot of progress. I think that's a big job to us. And we're also, I spoke with the engineer last week, planning to submit another grant application, or another grant application for the next round in the fall. I think they'll be in September. They're putting together a package for that based on the video inspection of the next section from 183 down to Icon. Up there between the sewer boat. I think that's been another good thing. I said the pipe was in a little better condition than after that, but there were several joints that were questioned. A lot of manholes in the road. So that's going to be the biggest part of it. And after that, I'd like to put some time in with some video inspection of the platform. I'm not sure. What that I gave you in addition to this, is basically the information that we did last night. The first bundle of that package that we got is the budget, the proposed budget for the next fiscal year. And the cover sheet there gives you a rundown included in the percentages for each city. There is a change in the billing for this. And that's happening about a third of the way there. Where you see the water reclamation facility fair share. That lists out the percentages that each city pays based on their flows into the system. That is for operation of plant only. So those are inside the fence of the plant. The next line is conveyance system for share. That is based on the cost of operation of the conveyance system for each city. So in Walhalla's case, 10% of the total cost of the conveyance system is 2.7%, third of the Walhalla area, and it's upstream of point from to Walhalla. The district's 4.3%, and Seneca is right at 85%.
This has to do with your pump stations mainly, is that correct?
Correct. It's lift stations, it is force mains, and it is gravity sewer. And 85% of the cost is the Seneca system, which Seneca is because there's water in the system. I think there are 15 or 16 lift stations. On the Walhalla side, there are 2 lift stations in Westminster. I think that's sure. Lower than one of those. But this is the biggest change because previously each city was based on the flow into the plant. So Walhalla share would have been 24.5 for the conveyance. Seneca would have been 58.8 and Westminster would have been 16. So the reason this change is being made is to more whatever they build each system for their portion. And this one is down on those days that lay out the cost of the new treatment plant, replacement of flat rock pump station, and the generators for the street. Initially, this was proposed to go, this change, and the billing was supposed to go in one year's time. The reason being, the city authority really has very little money reserves. And they have $1.5 million that is in reserves for the sewer south project. So that means that's money that is restricted, they cannot use that to balance the budget for day-to-day operations. Last night, Mr. Mulder proposed making these changes phase in over a 3-year period, with the best incentive impact each year. And to an extent, the whole Westminster. But the issue with that, funding is needed to complete the upgrade to Flat Rock Pump Station. And financial consultant last night stated it would take, based on the poor condition of the authority's finances, it would take at least 6 months to a year for confidence to build in the system's ability to generate funds to pay a loan. And that's 6 to 12 months after the budget is operating in black, which it currently is not, it has not for 7 years. They've been living off the reserve fund, no longer. So one concern would be that if we push this out in 3 years, phase this in over 2 or 3 years, it would be most likely 4 years before we would qualify for financing. And that would not fall in the timeline. I don't feel it would fall within the timeline you get looking for the effort that are needed. Imperative. If this was phased in over the 3 years, or this coming budget year, it would save Walhalla money. But I think in the long run, and really speak up, you think I'm speaking up, and you go through this meeting last night, I feel like it would cost us more long term, even though when you see a short term savings, over time, it's just like the money that we're returning. I mean, it's basically a loan that we're paying many times back.
And I think if you look, if we got a $16 million repair bill now, what's 4 more years will add to it.
Exactly.
So it's the times now, because it's just going to compound exponentially.
Well, there's not even half the plant operating.
Correct.
It's sitting there empty, half the clarifiers are down,
Correct.
digesters down.
Yeah.
I mean, half the plant is inoperable, and we're looking to extend sewer lines down on that.
Exactly.
Where you gonna put it if we don't do this? But ultimately, it's up to the board to decide on
Yes,
putting this, phasing this in, or going ahead with your original budget plan.
you are correct.
But in my opinion, sitting there and listening to this for 3.5 hours last night is the only way it's gonna work is what y'all propose.
Yeah, and I think there's a feeling that we're picking on Seneca, we're not.
Seneca's the bulk of it.
And it is about the cost, and the equalizing the cost between the cities. I mean, Walhalla is getting an increase as a result of this change in building. But that additional revenue is needed just to get to the point where we are now. And I don't feel like that there's a fault in the board of picking on Seneca, that's not it at all. It's just trying to survive, and, I mean, basically that's where we are in surviving mode, is the way that I see it.
On the finance part of us, we've already set our budget for that increase, so we're ready for it. And, I mean, all it's gonna do is dig a deeper hole down there. Eventually, we're not gonna get out of it.
And we gotta fix that flat rock pump station, because that is just costing.
It's costing us money.
Yes, it's been costing us for years, and it's been ignored. It's got to be fixed.
And if you go to the next set, it's the set of slides there, it says on that first page, there's a set, not in the front, to do this. And you'll see, that's the reason I included this, because it gives the details of what is lacking, what is needed. And this is before the proposed change to your 3-year phase. So, this is, I personally, I feel like this is the way to make sure this works and make sure it's not. I don't know which way to vote for there, I know which way I have to vote. But now, I need to be aware of really hard. The last section, and I'm not trying to rush through, if you got questions, by all means, ask. And then I give a quick note first. There's a lot of information in the slides. In the budget sheets, they list out which, the things you see and how everything is spent. So feel free to ask questions. The last section is part of a study that is in the budget for the city authority. It's what they call a CMOM, which is required by the capacity, maintenance, capacity management, operation. This is something that the consultant is putting together for the authority. Cost of this is around $685. And this is mandated by DG. The consultants have set up what they're calling a stakeholder workshop. And this a list of tasks for those that they feel should, they got each city council district. The preliminary date is June 2nd this year. So I just wanted to throw that out there and make everyone aware. I feel like they're trying to get this together similar to the members meetings that the city authority holds annually. This is set up by the authority, by the consultants for the authority. But they want to go through and just explain the process and make sure that all cities are aware, because this is also something that we are going through our Cherokee. Operation management. Our engineer is working on that right now. Should be all the issues. All three cities will get through that process in addition to the city. We should plan and have the suicide and a lot of hours into this. In the future.
I knew fire service was political, but I had no idea the sewage was.
Very much so.
And convoluted.
Oh, Other than that, certification.
There was some more correspondence to do, Jim responded to that, so I think they got everything at this point. But we got that one last, you know. Oh, and with Mr. Highway, check on there, he's still under review. There's been some calls made, it's in Columbia right now. And I think they got a pretty good backlog. Probably should be covering all of the money that's coming through there.
That's DOT.
Yes, sir.
Got anything from that problem that I talked about?
They'll get back with you on about going Westminster Highway, going out about Wilson.
Yeah, that one, we got that one, taken care of. They, the plumber, we talked with the homeowner that afternoon, and that plumber out there, they got a thing out installed, replaced the line.
I went out there and that, didn't like it.
Luckily, the dog was in the house when we were there, he was barking at us, he was taking that. Yeah, that one taken care of.
One of the tops of that tank overflow.
I have heard nothing from the property. I sent a certified letter 3 weeks ago now. And the letter has not been picked up and they could come back. But it was not gotten returned with the signature part back. Yeah, we made attempts. And I don't know anything short of going knocking on the door down there, but I'm not sure that would be. I really don't know how to get in contact. We have talked with the neighbors who are affected, and we have fixed that issue, we have the washers, we got the gas, and we got the neighbors to take care of that. Pull back to that. I appreciate that, sure. I think they should be good for you, we still want to get property issues settled.
Right, all hard labor in the district is this, and that isn't helping at all.
Yeah.
So,
They should be, this has been last week.
There you go, Josh.
Yeah. Yeah, let's see where we're at.
okay. Very good.
We use some stone because the property on that to run off the driveway, something, and it would be fine.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Very good.
Yeah, then let's do that.
I wanna talk about this, water use ordinance. The line extension portion of that ordinance. We kind of bounced this around way back, and I've been working, and Scott's put in a lot of time on this, trying to help me, get this worded. So I'm just gonna read the part of it that we're pretty much making, or proposing to make a change in. So it will read, new developments proposed to be constructed within the city limits of Walhalla shall be provided access to adequate water service along public road right of ways which border property to be developed. All proposed water main extensions within a development will be at the developer's cost and built to city specifications. And the developer's engineer will develop a preliminary plan to serve the development to include proposed use, whether it's residential, commercial, number of units, anticipated demand, preliminary lot layouts, water mains, so forth. And then a proposed timeline of the project. So basically, the way the ordinance is set up now, it's at the developer's expense. If somebody wants to build a house and there's not water there, just like we just experienced on Mill Street, it's up to the developer or the property owners, whether it's commercial business coming into town, they've got to figure out how to get water there. And
There's no distinction between inside, or there's currently no distinction between inside and outside.
right. So basically, this is putting, I'm not gonna say the burden, because to me, it's not an expense, you know, this is what we sell. This is, the water is our revenue, and we've got to make it available to people coming into town, whether it's a business or residential. And this corrects that, to where we put the water in the ground on the right of ways, and then they buy a tap. And the committee has copies of this. We discussed it a little bit off and on. And I'd like to make a motion that we put this before council for reading and consideration.
One second. So I'm gonna discuss, this is just you voting, right? You voting. So we had that guy 2 years ago that bought that house in Walhalla. And it was out of the city limits, he wanted to run a water line to his house. I want to say it's on Burnsville, somewhere kind of far away. You know that? Yeah. Would this cover that? It was expensive to run.
No, this is only inside.
This is inside the city.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
all right.
outside the city doesn't change. But
Okay,
it's
all right.
and then outside the city too, if there is a big development coming in and council wants to
So we talk.
support that with material or
Okay, I'm
something,
good.
that's still an option, but
Okay.
that wouldn't cover this.
Let me make sure I understand this, and I think I do, but for everybody's understanding as well. If someone, customer A, buys a lot on Street B, and there is no water line on that street, but it is in the city limits, is that saying that we will furnish a line on that street? So basically,
If it's a public right of way.
if it's on a public street and there is not a line there, we'll put a line there.
Or if it's not sufficient. So,
Right.
yeah, I think that's the intent. Yes. If we got a line, which we have a lot of this in town, we have an old time, or galvanized on 2 inch line. And it's not got much flow. There's some old homes there that are empty space. And one, just like Chestnut, there was an old line in place, there were old meters in place. We replaced that line at city's cost, and this just covers us doing that. But if they were gonna put something in place that needed an upgrade, then we would provide the upgrade line size. In that case, we went back to the same size, more than enough for their house. But if something were to come in and it was,
It just
Need a
says
higher
that
than-
if you're gonna build a house and you're gonna build it in the city of Walhalla and it's on a public street, we're gonna furnish you a water line.
Correct.
Which that makes sense.
and it would apply to homes, businesses, really any development.
It's gonna also, just so everyone's aware of it, this is water. So if it's fire suppression, it will include that. Having access to enough water for fire suppression in a bit.
That goes to the lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, it's not plumbing it in for them, it's just adding access
On public
right
right.
of way.
And what that would do, is in my, on Main Street. That's where this is gonna be apart. In this case, the city would make the tap run the line up to Mexico, just outside that building, for their fire suppression contracting concept. So basically, we would make the tap run the line and set a valve there for them. And if they needed, we would get back to them, we could do it outside.
What about if you have to drill under a road?
Well,
And I'm just trying to think.
for
of what may come
residential,
up.
we have the equipment for
For
residential.
certain, yeah, for meters, that's not an issue. We do that every day. For lines, which we do have a machine now, we can go up to about 4 inch without much trouble on the board. And if they required it to be fast, we would have room for that.
I guess,
But,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
yeah, no, for anything larger than that, then we would have, and it'd still be city's cost, I would assume. But there's a limit on there if it's over 10,000, which then that would have to come to council.
I guess I'm going back to no particular street, but if there's a street that a couple wants to build a house on this side, there's no water line, but there is one on the other side. And it's in the city limits, we'll do the drill under the road.
Yeah, for me,
to furnish.
yes. Yeah, that's no problem.
Mhm. This, that, and
That's fine.
Yeah.
We do those things. That's no-
And I guess I personally believe this will open up some areas of Walhalla or some streets that maybe old lines need replacing, or there is not a line. If we agree to do these sort of things, it will, I believe it'll cause some building to be done.
I've heard a couple people that have been deterred from Walhalla because of the water, the fire suppression, like that. I hope it's not problem. So I like that. I think it's gonna.
All right, we have a motion and second from that committee, so, it'll go to full council.
A question, Article 7, I'm looking at it here, the water system, is that in the water ordinance? Is that part of the whole water ordinance?
Yes,
Under
yeah,
that bundle?
it's in the water use ordinance, yes.
Okay, because I know we had some unfinished business on that last year, so if we're gonna go over it and amend, I would like to get with you and discuss more about some of the, if we're gonna go ahead and amend and add, we can go ahead and discuss that.
Well, we renew that ordinance each year.
Yeah, it's done with the budget cycle, so moving this up to council, we can discuss that,
Okay.
or y'all can discuss amendments that we need.
Would you want that to go in as a amendment with the update in July, or with about the June, or I guess I was on the street, probably in June.
Yeah.
So it's May, so that's my own question.
Let's do it in July.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Scott.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate the updates on the sewer there. Thank you, Glenn. Any questions?
I got a question for you. I called you today, but you screened my phone call. It's fine.
Phone didn't work.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I'll talk to you.
All right, the next item on our agenda is Main Street Walhalla. Libby, come on down.
Oh, nice and cozy now in here. Franklin, can I borrow that implementation plan that was part of that packet? You've probably seen it before. Oh, here. come on.
Do you want it on the screen?
No, I'm just going old school. I didn't prepare. Next time I'll have visuals. Well, I'm excited to hear about the amendment to the water. I think that was, that's a lot of questions that people have when they're looking at bringing in restaurants and converting some of these old buildings. So maybe a really good thing for future growth. So big news is our implementation plan for the next 5 years has been approved by the advisory board. So that's what this thing is. You have to get out a big microscope to see it. But I did send you a digital copy of that. I'm not going to read through it, but you can see over here on the left side that we basically have 4 strategies for Main Street. And then you can read across and it breaks it up into our 4 committees and projects that we'll do under each one of those. A lot of them are already in the works. A couple of them are finished, and some of them are really big that will, big lofty goals that hopefully we'll achieve. So this will be revisited every year, but it's a good guide. It helps me stay on track. It helps all of our teams. It allows for our volunteers to focus in on, what we need to do, and it'll also help us with our budget. So I know you haven't had time to look over it, but if you have any questions about that, probably needs to let me know later. the board also, when we met in April, they voted to create a new nonprofit tied specifically to Main Street. So that will allow us to do our own fundraising and take care of our budget a little bit easier, not, you know, all under one board. So I've met with a couple of attorneys and been working with Main Street, South Carolina about that to get that going. Hopefully we'll have it in place for July 1st. There's some specific questions that I'll get with Mayor and you guys about as far as how we need to set it up, but I feel like it's moving forward. So, March was, or April, whatever last month was, it seemed like it was training month. We did tons and tons of training, had our national program, everything was online and virtual, but I did attend actually about 3 different webinars recently about the upcoming American Rescue Plan and how that can help fund, how that can kind of flow through Main Street programs to help some of the businesses recover from pandemic and the effects of COVID-19. So all of that is still kind of a lot of it is unknown. But we've got a couple of committees that are looking at that to kind of come up maybe with some ideas that might help allocate some of that ARP money to specifically to help the small businesses and to encourage growth. The restaurant recovery grant fund just came online Monday. So we reached out to, and Sari helped with find some bilingual, what was the organization that
It's Ivan Segura.
Yeah.
It's from the South Carolina Minority Affairs Commission.
Right,
in
through
Columbia.
the, and yeah, it was through the SBA, so he was very helpful and we got bilingual information, we reached out to all the restaurants, held a little workshop to anyone that, is interested. There's a lot of money through there and that's a grant, that will help any of the restaurants recover. So I haven't heard from any of them that actually went through the application yet, but I know a couple of them are kind of pre-registered. So we're here to help them with that and answer any questions that they have. And we're working with the Small Business Development Center at Clemson to do that too. So everybody's kind of on call to see if anybody needs help with that. The advisory board and the Economic Vitality Committee are working to create a proposal for planning the future growth of Walhalla that's addressing the moratorium currently. And we've got a little time slot at that May 17th public hearing that the board is going to kind of present, where they feel like we should move forward on that. Another training that we did that you guys have probably seen the fruits of if you have seen our Facebook page, but we did a really neat, kind of interesting training called the Broader Storyteller, and that was through the Main Street, South Carolina got a national Main Street grant to fund this project at no cost to the local Main Street. So it was actually Amy Welsh was part of it, and our board chair, Lena Justice, and myself, we did a week-long training, 2 days in Hartsville and 2 days virtual. But we've done 3 stories so far, so it's basically like telling and promoting business and the community through just people telling their stories. So we've done a couple online. You can see we just posted one today. The first one that we did reached 25,000 people in like 4 days. And yeah, a town of 4,000 people. It's crazy. So needless to say, we're getting really good response. If you ever just want to feel good, just go read the story and listen to the comments. Gives you an idea of what people feel about our town. It's really cool. So we're shooting to do one a week. And it's kind of lofty goal, but it's been pretty successful. So. And then there's our list of we have basically every Wednesday afternoon, we've got some sort of committee meeting in the street. On the back is all the fun stuff. Some projects that we're working on right now. We're looking at some sort of shade opportunities for the brown green Square at Maine College. And we're really looking at these sales. Price, I've got a kind of group of volunteers that looking at different options and pricing it out. I think it'll be a really affordable option to provide some shade for events there. And they'll be bright and colorful, and think they'll be attractive to people that are driving by. So hopefully we'll have something within a couple weeks to look at what that is and how much it's gonna cost and how we can fundraise for it. And then the artist painted bench project is something that our advisory board did. They got together and bought 20 of these industrial benches. They used to be inside Walmarts that they took out due to COVID. So Lana had found them online, and so they all pulled in to buy them, and we've got all these benches now. So we're going to reach out to artists and have them paint them. The theme will be, stories of Walhalla, so whatever their interpretation of that is. So we'll get all of those painted, and then in turn, we're gonna sell those to community members for a fundraiser. So we started with $1,000 investment in these benches, which will lead to $10,000 in sales of the benches, which will provide seed money for $20,000 in improvements to buildings and sidewalk vibrancy. So it's pretty cool collaboration, and we're excited to kind of get that going. So we've got some great volunteers that are figuring out how to make that happen. The
When do you expect
events,
you're gonna start painting the benches?
we really, now we're just kind of, I've got somebody that's kind of measuring out it. We're looking at the logistics of it and kind of getting something typed out that we can start, do a press release and send it out. So hopefully we'll have that in a couple of weeks,
That's a
and
great
then
idea.
people just come and get it. Yeah. It's really gonna be a good thing. And then we have benches throughout town as well too.
Right.
So we'll have 20 benches kind of scattered around that people can wander around and look at, do a little bench trip. So,
I'll sit down.
yeah,
Bonus.
right? Everybody likes sitting down. We're gonna be a walkable town, but lots of places to rest. So events, we had, just looking back, on the 17th, we did the first, hopefully annual, Cherokee gathering and birthday celebration, and it was really great. I know all you guys are there. Lots of room to grow in the future, but it was a great collaboration of Keep Oconee Beautiful, Cherokee Museum in South Carolina, the Museum in North Carolina, all the nonprofits that came. We had some great vendors, and it was just a lot of
That
fun.
was a huge turnout.
Yeah, I think we had, it's always hard to count, but I think between 12 and 1,500, which is really good for a first event.
Yeah.
People weren't really sure what they were getting
Right.
into, so,
And the kids are having fun. That means a lot. See the kids small,
yeah,
digging up the arrowheads and stuff.
Yeah.
They have a really good time.
yeah,
All the crafts and stuff. So usually people come back, things come back out of town. And it's
yeah.
great.
It was really great, and we saw a lot of other Cherokee groups that had just kind of learned about it and came to town for it and wanted to be involved next year. So
Oh, yeah.
I think that will just it'll grow, to each year. Because there's really nothing like that in South Carolina. There aren't any other Cherokee events. So, and then looking forward this Saturday, we've got our art walk. And that'll go all the way from O'Kelly Heating and Air, all the way down to Corner Crafts and Boutique and side roads. We've got a quilt show at the History Museum. I think we'll have over 60 artists total between all of the stores, and we're gonna close off Catherine Street, trying something new, between Main and South Broad. So right there, we're like Green-Megos, that will be closed off. We'll have our bands there, and a lot of the art vendors will be there. So if that works out, I think that would be a great location in the future to do some of the smaller events, especially when that kind of goes one way.
Walhalla City parking lot will still be available.
Yeah, the parking lot's still gonna be available for people to park in. It should be
Depot, the park, that's another additional parking. that we
Yeah,
use.
there's
I mean,
plenty of parking in the
walk
back around here, so I think it will be really good. And that same day, we are doing the brunch fundraiser, and that's at Durham Hall. And I know that some of you guys have been recruited to serve the brunch for Mother's Day, so appreciate that. And if you haven't been recruited yet and would like to be, just let me know. We have 2 hours. Should be really great. There's a lot of great volunteers that are helping put that together, and that'll be a fundraiser for Main Street too. So. And then just our regular, like the rest of the summer really is kind of our schedule. We've got smaller, just monthly events. The second shift is coming up, and that should be a one-time. Got lots of good music and food trucks, and one of those little people that they look like they're statues, you know, and you walk out of them. So we're trying to get just fun performers, just something different each one, but should be really cool. And then we've got a farmers market group being formed of volunteers and people that are excited about helping with that. So we're meeting on Monday to hopefully have them kind of take on some of those things and help the market grow.
When is the first one?
The first farmers market is June 5th.
When is your meeting? Monday?
Monday,
It's coming up Monday.
10th? Yeah.
Um,
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
Afternoon, but before the partnership conference meeting. 4:30 or 5. But yeah, if you know anybody that's interested in helping out with the farmers markets in any way, or just hoping to kind of has a vision for it, just let them know, send them my way. And then the last thing is the grand opening for Sunny Ann's Rustic Shop. She sent me a couple pictures of the inside of her store, and it's really awesome. So save your money. If you need it when you go, there's lots of cool stuff. But she wanted to invite you all to this ribbon cutting on 7th. A lot back from one of you guys.
Try to get
Yeah.
The whole pass, right, so.
Get a hall pass. Kind of listen back.
Right.
Does anybody have any questions about anything?
Great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. Next one is fire department. This committee is chaired by Councilwoman Melendez, Councilman Underwood, and Councilman Roberts are also on that committee. Chief Burton.
Fire department responded to 109 calls for service. About 50 were medical, and the balance was fire calls. We're on multiple calls 22% of the time. We still have a strong mutual aid presence. 17 instances mutual aid were provided. 47 calls inside the city, and 62 were out either in the unincorporated area or other mutual aid districts. Spent about 201 hours on multiple incidents. Staff trained about 238 hours during the month. Squad 51 or 2011 engine. Continue to have some air issues with the brakes. We sent that back and we've got that taken care of. The fire marshal sections, been still busy catching up with inspections. I did an inspection for the old fire station on the lower level, so they were issued a CO. That paperwork is forwarded to the attorney. Should be a couple of weeks, and they'll be getting some stuff back to us to complete that transaction. Businesses, about 11 were inspected, 14 pre-plans, pretty heavy on the rental inspections this month. we're starting our hydrant and hose testing, so you'll see more folks out and about during the week, flowing hydrants. Codes and zoning had a planning commission meeting, voted to move, and I don't have those recommendations here for council to vote tonight, but I'll have them at the council meeting to rezone several parcels. And then her comment regarding commercial businesses, basically the box stores. That night, the planning commission decided to meet on the 17th. So that will be a joint council and planning commission meeting. I think it's in the draft agenda to the council to look at. Working on the update, we had a DDC meeting, codes administrator and myself will be working on updating the community development grants. There was just some language in there to clean up. There was some duplication of things in the list that was eligible. So we're going to clear that up and clarify a few things. That'll come back online in June. General code, they sent us their first draft edits for the codification process. So we're reviewing that as well. Business license has taken up a large part of the time. This month, everyone pays their business license, so Elijah's been dealing with that, learning that process, and also dealing with Datamax. They're the ones that handle our product year collections, so it's been pretty busy on that front. I think we've had a handful of new business licenses, about 13 new business licenses and 150 something come in. Emergency management, we're still working, talking with the county, the state about COVID-19. Myself and the mayor early on, we met with DHEC and thanked John for his help on providing us a place to have the vaccination clinic on the 3rd and again in June. So I appreciate the diversity and inclusion committee getting that communicated out and letting everybody know. I appreciate everybody pulling together to pull that off. And also upcoming is the blood drive. I'll send the flyer out to that and communicate that. Again, appreciate the rec department being and the civic auditorium for allowing us to park there and use that parking lot in the city in June. So appreciate that. That's all I have for the fire and codes.
Any questions from the committee?
Right, okay.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
That's important.
Yeah, we had a busted brake drum and an air valve that had failed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Pretty serious issue.
Yeah. Very much.
Okay. If there's not anything else on that committee, we'll go to general government. Chief Burton. It's to go again. Chairman of this committee is Councilman Pace. Councilman Woodward and Councilwoman Owens are also members of that committee.
I covered some of this stuff in the fire report since it pertained to codes. One thing I did leave out is by request, the zoning map is now on our city webpage. So you can go on there, zoom into it, zoom out, you can view it, the legend's there. So anyone should be able to do it. I don't have it set up to where you can search, you can click on it by parcel or anything. You just have to zoom and scroll around the map. But 4 square miles should be fairly easy just to pan around and zoom in on it. So got some other stuff we're trying to we'll try to link the tax maps with the county. So there's some web updates that we're trying to do along the way. Already mentioned our May 17th listening session. We've got that set up. I do and have confirmation of an outside moderator coming in to help us manage the meeting. Me and the mayor talked, and I think that'd be appropriate to have someone that's unbiased and really not connected to manage our meeting. They've agreed to do so. The budget, we had a workshop Saturday. As I talked about earlier, under finance and procurement, we're cleaning up some reporting issues that we found in QS1. Hopefully when we get done with this, it's gonna be an evolving process. We'll be able to get a better accurate picture of where we are financially. Some things were lumped together. The old saying go, you can be a lumper or a splitter. I'm more of a splitter. I like detailed, so we can track things. And with this new module for quote miscellaneous billing, that'll allow us to categorize what we're billing for. So we'll know we're billing for trash, we're billing for bulk water, things like that. So that'll just help us on the data management end. May the 25th again is our cutoff. So if anybody has any purchases that they want to do, go ahead and get those turned in. That'll give us a month to close out the current fiscal year and start the new one up and do any line item transfers that we need to. Stump house, I don't have any traffic count data. I just haven't found time to run up there and put the computer up, but I have kept track of what we're generating, and we're back over 10 grand a month. So we're seeing a lot of use up there. So we're back on track to that. Joanna had communicated to me there was another filming up there. I think it was WSPA today, Carolina segment. So they were filming up at Stump House today, even in the rain. So pay station has apparently hit a snag. There's an issue with it talking to our bank. There's a third-party bank involved. To be honest, I really don't know what that means and how that interfaces. I don't know the IP address of the new machine, so that's apparently the holdup. So once we get that figured out, we'll have that going. I met with an engineer to do some design work on a parking lot at Ross Mountain. That'll alleviate the issues that we've had. That'll give us more capacity in hopes to be able to host an event up there in the future. Gave me a reasonable price on the engineering, so I went ahead and turned him loose on that to get us a set of drawings, and then we can take those drawings and move forward with construction. I'm trying to expedite that one because I think that'll benefit everyone. That's all I have as far as where we're at in administration. Any questions?
I don't have any questions on that. I appreciate, I just want to extend appreciation managing this and the fire department on the side is, I know it's stringing us a little bit, but you're doing a pretty outstanding job.
That I've not planned one, but that'd be up to the pleasure of the group if y'all want to have one. That'd be entirely up to y'all.
Committee, if you folks are comfortable with the budget that we went over Saturday, if y'all want to move forward with that, you can. That doesn't mean it cannot be changed for any other members, but if in order to move the budget forward from the process, yes, we need your committee to vote to move that we accept that plan and move it to the next meeting.
Also make the motion.
A second.
Okay. Sure.
We're voting on this stuff, it's along with like the sewer stuff, it all work together, it's a separate issue that we're voting on. When the sewer budget comes up.
What we will do is at the next meeting, the budget ordinance will be brought forward. And we can vote to yay or nay on approving that budget. And then when we bring it up, before we vote, we'll get a motion second and we can discuss it and go through it again. And if we can still change it.
The enterprise budgets, the water sewer, it'll be different. Everything's included in the document, but it'll be a separate.
Yes, it's a separate, that's true. But we're gonna discuss it again. Absolutely. All right, anything else on that? we've done pretty well. Any other items that need to be discussed tonight? Unless someone thinks we need an executive session, something I'm not aware of, I haven't planned on one. I think we're good to go. A lot of work been going on the last couple of weeks around City Hall, and thank all of you for what you've done, our staff, everyone that's involved. If there's nothing else, have a motion, we adjourn.
I'll make the motion, we adjourn.
Second, everyone good with that? Okay, thank you. Appreciate all of you coming. No.
Good stuff going on.
First. And then.
Yeah.
Well, second, organization is there in the night. I just went like after this.
Wow.
But yeah, I just didn't know.